This is Life Transformation Radio. Prepare to engage. Seatbelt activated. Download initiated. Your quantum journey of transformation begins in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Life Transformation Radio. Hi, I'm Rob Actis, best-selling author of The Law of Action, voice actor, business mindset coach, the podcast whisperer, and Mr. Action himself. Here at Life Transformation Radio, we're committed to share more about real life, love, the power of positivity, romance, and of course, laughter. We care about helping others find their internal drive and purpose. We celebrate life's challenges and overcoming them. On the show, my guests are amazing people who are forces for good in the world around them and live a life of transformation. My guest today does just that. My longtime friend, Kim Woods, who's a repeat guest right here on Life Transformation, is here. We're going to discuss why the stars are important to everyone to follow in life. And if you want to know what the stars tell us and how we can find out more about what's going to happen in 2023, I got to tell you, this is the show for you. Kim Woods, MBA, spiritual consultant to high-performing entrepreneurs and global leaders, has founded multiple seven-figure brick-and-mortar businesses. And here's the cool part. Her life truly began once she recognized that while she had checked all the boxes, so to speak, she still lacked a true feeling of satisfaction, power, and contentment. When she finally embraced her own spiritual coming out, she was not only able to physically heal her son, but also to help herself and her thousands of clients around the world. My friend Kim Woods, welcome to Life Transformation Radio.
It is so good to be back, Rob. I cannot wait to have this conversation.
I know. Well, the funny thing is, we've had an hour-long podcast before this podcast, but that's the podcast that wasn't recorded. But it was a great conversation, and I'm so glad to have you here today. You know, I can't believe that it's been over a year since we've spoken. Got word that you wanted to share, what's going on for 2023. Absolutely 100% yes. I'm so excited. And we're getting into a time in this world where it does feel like we're living in the Matrix. It feels like we're in a video game. What is up is down, and what is down is up, and what is left, right and left. And every day you look at the news or whatever, and I'm like, we're living in a movie. I've believed since the start of this pandemic, and I've always felt this, that this is some giant spiritual awakening happening. Because,
absolutely.
Yeah, we talked about this. I had friends that were saying, look, this is all about a spirituality awakening. This is, everything's going to burn to the ground and it's going to rise out of the phoenix and everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to be okay tomorrow. But I think that, I don't know, every year you go into a new year, 2022, 2023, and you think to yourself, it's going to be a good year. It's going to be a good year. So let's talk about 2023.
Yeah, absolutely. I will tell you, we are really learning to live, you're right, differently. So ever since, I'm going to go back to the end of 2020, there was the solstice that we had a beautiful 800 star, like people may have remembered it because, they're only visible. You haven't been able to see them in this lifetime. If you remember that at all, like around Christmas, around that 2 years ago. We entered a new age, Rob, like legit entered a new age. And we are living inside out.
Okay.
Okay. Inside out.
We are. And it's funny because things feel different. And I think that that's not the case for everybody. I think there's a lot of people that are in like cocoons, or they're just, they just haven't awoken up yet and seen. I think their eyes are closed right now spiritually. I don't think they've opened their eyes. And I'm not saying that people are doing that intentionally. I think they just haven't done that. But there are so many people on a spiritual plane that have opened their eyes. And I will say, when you look at all the crap that's going on in the world, and then you feel on a spiritual plane and level, it makes it a whole lot easier to just kind of get through this morass of, because a lot of this, how can I put this, is real, but it's not real.
Yeah. I mean, and I will tell you what's happened is the feminine is living on the outside where she belongs, and the masculine is living on the inside where he belongs. And we had it inside out before. We had that tough, external, focused, targeted, ever expanding, let's grow energy. And in fact, it's a beautiful energy, but it doesn't belong on the outside. It belongs at the core. It belongs as your tensile, your pivot point. And then the feminine was on the inside. Oh, soft, gooey center, keep your feelings in, don't express your emotions. You're intuitive, be in the closet intuitively, right? Just don't really come out and speak about that. And all of a sudden that energy's on the outside and it's living on the edges, much more possibility, much more fluidity, much better ability to connect. There's a beautiful way of being in that flow, but it feels so foreign. This is why people are confused and they don't know how to, engage or do things. And if we can have the conversations that can be very practical, I can go through the months. I can tell you things that from a very practical perspective, what's happening in the stars, but I just wanted to meet that energetic that you were talking about. It's like, which way is up and which way is down? The sooner we can embrace the fact that there's this combination of like the masculine and feminine in a different way, the better off we'll be.
Yeah. I watched that movie with Ryan Reynolds. I think it's called The Free Guy. The Free Guy?
Yep.
Okay. It was supposed to be a lighthearted movie, and it struck me to my core. I'm like, oh my God, this is our reality. Like, I don't know if a lot of people got that. But if you go back and watch that from a spiritual way and look at all the things and how the world is today, it's like, yeah, we're in this
mind blown.
Yeah.
Do you want me to tell you what the movie theme is for 2023?
I do. And before you do that, I want to say one thing, and I think it's really important. So I did it in your bio. So Kim has an MBA. She's an incredible business woman. She's built multiple 7-figure brick and mortar businesses. She's like the shit. Like, she's awesome. And she had a spiritual awakening. And imagine being in that environment. And now you talk about the stars. Like, I want to just acknowledge the authentic being that you are. And I hope it inspires other people to take a risk and to be their authentic self in their life. Because I feel, and it's interesting, I haven't heard this, but I really feel that authenticity, just from the conversations that we've had on these podcasts and conversations that I've had with other people, is really coming front and center. I think people are not able to hide anymore. I think they need to be who they are. And unfortunately, there are people that judge you, whatever lifestyle you have. But I think it's really important that, you as a leader in that of opening up a new chapter for you and going from, being in the business and MBA and all structured and buttoned down. And now you're in the spiritual space and you do it so beautifully. I hope that inspires some people that are listening to look at their lives and to possibly peel that onion a little bit and live a little bit, more authentic.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I have to tell you, making that transition was not easy, right? As transformation often isn't. And yet, when I did finally say that bold yes, I mean, we've had 400% growth in the last 3 years, like year over year. That's just the average growth. Once I came out and said, okay, yes, I do combine business strategy with the stars, and you can be successful. And then we tell client stories and all the things. People say, ooh, wait a minute, maybe I am a little interested, right?
Yeah.
And I will say just the wave of the energy, it's going to become, astrology is going to be like the next massage therapy. Remember when massage therapy was, super, super edgy and people would not really talk about it, or yoga, no one wanted to talk about yoga. I'm old enough to remember those times.
No, I know. I was a massage therapist. I know. I told my family I was going to be a massage therapist. They're like, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. But, I grew up in San Diego. And so it's a pretty spiritual, awakened environment, Pacific Beach and Ocean Beach. And there's a lot of, the butterfly women and more airy-fairy. And, it's California. But I do agree with you that, essential oils and, astrology and the numbers and the cool things that we talk about, on Life Transformation Radio, like, I think back to a show, I talk about it often, is a woman and she communicates with Archangel Michael. Yeah. How fascinating. And and all the psychedelics medicines that are coming out, the mushrooms, people that are doing acid or ED or Molly, or even, in more spiritual plane of combo, which is the frog. We've had discussions about that on the show. And then we've talked about DMT and ayahuasca. And it's fascinating because there are so many changes that are going on in the world. And I think if people get in touch with the spiritual side, it will make it a lot easier to maneuver than this 3D analog world. I think it's, to say, and some people will connect with this or not, but to get into 5D of love and light and bliss and harmony and love, I think that's where we got to go, because there's just a lot of yuck out there, and I don't want to be in the yuck. I got my bliss bubble. Bliss bubble, and I let people in and but I don't want to be in other people's circuses. I don't want to play with other people's monkeys. Yeah. I just want to bless them with love and light and wish them well.
I will say the theme for 2023 is power. And so if you think about that, you think, oh, we can say, oh, great power. It feels good. You're empowered. You're confident. You know your worth. But then you look, and then there's a lot of like misconception and misuse and almost abuse of power. But that's because it's going to start going away. Like people that say step in their authenticity and they have the authority and they feel in command of their direction in life, then that lessens the need for competition, and it lessens the need for judgment. It lessens the need for, even insecurity, right? You don't need to make somebody else feel insecure to make yourself feel better. You feel good and you feel fulfilled. So then you have enough space to have somebody else do that. The more we change each individual person that we touch or groups that we touch, the better off we're all going to be.
Yeah. And so when I hear the word power, it doesn't feel like power. It feels like more of a eternal power or internal power, almost like a fuel rod inside of you that is going from like the earth of its core and radiating out throughout. That's the kind of power, because the power, when you say the word power, people look at like this rocket ship. And I don't think that's what it is. It's strength. So power, strong strength. We talked before we started recording about the movie of 2023. And, I, and you're the same way. I live my life out of abundance. I don't operate out of scarcity. So, example, my air conditioner heater has been out for 2 weeks. The guy was here working on it, and he was here for 3 hours trying to figure out what's going on with it. And he's telling me, I'm like, and he's trying to prepare me. He's like, you get ready, I'm just, we're this, not this. It's going to go more and more. And then he let me know what it was. And he said, this is not inexpensive. It's not a complete AC unit, but it's not inexpensive. And I said, okay. He goes, oh man, thanks for not being upset. I go, well, first of all, I have no right to be upset with you. And second of all, there's no story about it. It's just something that happened.
Right.
It's just something that happened. I mean, it happens. And so now got it. And now I'm going to, do what I do. And out of abundance, another client will come in today and take care of that. And it's important to really feel the abundance. And I feel like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels like, people are really suffering right now in 2022. People have suffered. I mean, I lost a couple businesses in the pandemic, and a lot of people have really suffered. And we just keep getting back up and living out of abundance, and we keep doing okay. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be interesting because the people that are stuck in the matrix and the people that are living in 3D and the analog world, my love and light and blessings to them, because the people that are living in 5D and are breaking free of the metrics and are being in a more spiritual plane, I feel that 2023 is going to be extremely abundant, which is a interesting dichotomy to look and see people suffering and then but it's really all the mindset.
It is. I mean, they're beautiful star configurations that are going to help people identify their value and their worth. And we talk about them as being quote unquote recession proof, right? Because, right. The media, if they could stop talking about it, that would be great. But they're back in like October, I think it was late October, everybody was talking about it, whatever. And we are not like out of the world in that, daily life. We appreciate that things are more expensive at the grocery store. But I kind of lost it a little bit, Rob, in that I was like, okay, I'm going to say something. So I did this post and I did this live on the fact that no, you can actually be recession proof when you are unwavering in your value. And everybody's talking about discounting. Everybody's talking about this. I'm like, that's BS. We're not doing any of that. And in fact, we went on like a money train for 2 weeks. We sold $200,000. We then went into our one-on-one clients and their, small group programs. And we then sold $800,000 with them. And then one woman made $48,000 in a day. I mean, I know I'm throwing money figures around, but I just want to put a little bit of that practical, quote unquote, aspect to it of you become unwavering and your value and people respond, and they will respond even more next year and the year after, because there is a chaos decay of dissolution that we're going through with things that no longer work. And so we'd love to think that today is, whatever day is today, and tomorrow's the next day, and we're going to do this beautiful, gorgeous, graceful shift. It's not going to look like that. It's going to be through chaos comes creativity, through change and edginess, there comes this beautiful core, reckoning and this beautiful union. And I believe all of that. I believe everything's going to be stellar. It's just we're going to go through a process. And I guess we get to decide how we want to go through that process. I would rather go through it with grace and abundance and as much ease
absolutely.
As possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's how can I put this? Abundance and scarcity is like such a fine line. And, with this new AI stuff coming out by the second, and everybody is freaking out saying all of our jobs are going to be gone. No, what that means is, and based on the law of action, you decide, you plan, you act. I've been diving in wholeheartedly for many, many hours in my, I'm not watching TV. I'm learning everything I can about how to maximize and get the most out of this AI technology, because first of all, a lot of people don't even know that ChatGPT exists. It's such a finite amount of people. Everybody thinks everybody knows. No one knows about it. Second of all, if it's an opportunity, you have to be able to pivot in your life. So a lot of things are being replaced. However, a lot of new businesses are being created by the day. And it's how you perceive things.
Yeah.
We talked before, and I'll get back to the movie of 2023 is great because I really feel that there's a tremendous amount of abundance coming our way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The movie of 2023 is
Jerry Maguire. And what does he say? Show me the money, right?
Show me the money. Woo!
You did way better than
that. So how does that work? How can a movie from a long time ago be the movie? How did you find that as the movie? And I do love this Show Me the Money. And I do feel that 2023 is going to be abundant.
Yeah. So what ends up happening is I go into the stars and I look at them over like an expanse of literally half a millennium. Like I'm looking at 500 years. I'm looking at the cycles. I'm looking to see where this year gets situated in the decade. And then I dive into the moon because that's like the antithesis of that. Every 2 weeks, the moon is, well, every 3 days, the moon is moving. But I look at the 2-week cycles of the full and new moon. And then there's energy bubbles up, Rob. Like it starts to coalesce. There starts to be things that are thematic. Power comes and then there's some intentionality. This year it's around success and love. And then I look at the flavor of the stars. And then I'm an intuitive person. So then I say, well, what are you talking to me about?
Nice.
What are you saying? And then there's a movie that will just come. It's been the last handful of years. And I'll like 2022 was Twister, right? Like, so this Jerry Maguire movie is infinitely better.
I wish you would have sent me a memo on that because 2022 was like, holy crap.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like I just 100%. Felt like I was just getting I wish I would have known.
Yeah. Right.
Okay. I need to be on your mailing list. I need to know this stuff forever
you need to know this stuff. Yeah. 100%. So with Jerry Maguire, I was like, okay, what flavor? Like in what part of that? Because think about it. Yes, there's that show me the money. Yes, there is that abundance there. And we can also appreciate that he was going to the edges of who he was. He was changing. He was, really stepping into his potential. And, he could see through when Renee Zellweger's eyes that like, wait, she sees me as someone more than me.
Right.
And will I open myself up to be that, And so he was vulnerable enough to do that. That's the key, to open yourself up to the potential of you. That's the key.
I want you to repeat that again, because I think that's one of the most important lessons in this conversation is you have to be the person and ready for the success that's there.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just sit idly by, and that's what we talk about the law of attraction, and you want it and you hope it. You have to be doing the work. You have to be in action.
Absolutely.
And if you look at successful people, they pivot, they shift, and they metamorphose into what they need to be. And they're always doing the work on themselves, the personal development. It's so important. If you just did 365 days a year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I forget. Sometimes I think it's 352. I miss a couple of days. So 365 days a year, if you just read 10 pages of a personal development book, whatever it is, that's 3,650 pages of information that's been proven that will dramatically impact your life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, because I always say to people, Rob, that, what, you can, law of attraction, you can like, humana, this is what I want. You can articulate and do your mantras and set up your wealth faces and your money bowls and all those
Got to do the work.
But I will then say to people, and do you have the pathway that somebody can actually give you money? Have you gone out there? Are you talking to people? Are you shining, right? Whatever that looks like for you. Teaching, speaking, selling product, like whatever that is. Because if not, then there's no pathway for the energy to actually reach you. There's no ability for that practical to then come in. So I agree with you. It's both. It's like, yes, we can do all the lovely, gorgeous, energetic piece, and we want to do that practical, active piece. That's that's masculine and feminine. Just what I talked about at the top of this.
Yeah, so important. So the movie of 2023 is Jerry Maguire, Show Me the Money. So what are some other things that we can look forward to? What does the stars show for us for 2023? There
is great innovation that's here. We're going to manifest even more of next year and actually into the next decade. I will tell you, there's some months you want to be very, let's just tread softly in these months. Happens to be March, happens to be July. There's a little bit of a mix in May. January, February, phenomenal. June, phenomenal.
It's my birthday, June. I'm a Gemini. There you go. Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
There you go, right? There's two cool eclipses. They're both annular, so they're rings. In April, late April, early May, it's the Ring of Fire ecliptic pair. And then in that October timeframe, it's the Ring of Love. So that feels really yummy. Venus is up to some shenanigans a little bit in July 22nd to September 3rd. She's going to be really asking you to know your value and know your worth. You're not going to have the opportunity of external validation. This is going to come from within. So she's a big teacher next year.
I love it.
Yeah.
What else?
But
Tell me.
I will tell you though, Rob, one thing, like Pluto is big next year. Pluto has not made a shift between the zodiac signs since 2008. Pluto's making a shift the end of March into Aquarius. It's great for possibility and innovation and anything we think of that's like in service to the climate and social justice in the world. It's just Pluto transforms ambitiously. Let me just say that.
Nice. So we talked about show me the money, which you want to care about. There's a lot of dynamics of relationships that are changing in the world. And so what do you see for 2023 in relationships with people? Will there be more marriage? Will there be less marriage? Will there be more divorce? Will there be more cheating? What's going on in relationships in 2023?
So
let's talk about love. Like love, I love that.
So love. So the stars always ask you questions. There are 3 questions for next year. How do you define success just for you? How do you reclaim your power? And you'll love this one. How does loving limitlessly? How is that the key to your health and wealth? And that's the question I adore for next year. Because think about loving limitlessly. We could say bravely or unconditionally, but we're talking like in that potentiality that we just talked about with Jerry Maguire, is that how can you answer the question, like, how do you love to be loved? And how do you love? Do you know that there are many ways of loving? There's that committed, beautiful way. There's a romantic, tender way. There's that sexy, passionate way. There's that, like that authoritative way. Like the Greeks had it right. Like they had 6 or 7 ways of love. There's that self-love. This isn't just a postcard and right on the back of an envelope. Hey, I love you, babe. And happy Valentine's Day. There is such a gorgeous opening for opportunity to love at many different levels. And so think about the possibility there, right? Like I love to say that we have a handful of soulmates in this life. You know, some of them are romantic, some of them are business, some of them are clients, some of them are friends. Those are the people that you want to wear. You want to spend a lot of time with. You're a little fascinated by them. Like you're like willing to go through the fire with them or for them. This is the level of love that we say we want to experience. And then are we willing to be brave enough and bold enough to experience it? Yeah,
it's your tribe. It's your tribe. It's your people.
Your peeps.
And, I talk about this often is that, someone who's had a few near-death experiences, and I've had other guests on the show talk about this as well, is that when you think you're going to die, or you're in a situation where you think you're going to die, you don't think about how much money you made. You don't think about the stuff you have. All you think about, and I've had this multiple times, is I wish I would have spent more time with.
Yeah.
That's all that matters. And, I have created a life where the majority of my time is spending it with the people that I love. So instead of watching TV or other stuff, you don't have that balance of you have to work, but I want to spend as much quality time with the people that I love because that's all that really matters. Like that's,
I agree.
and I would not want anybody who's listening to this to have to experience a near-death experience. It's kind of it's a little rough. I mean, to think that you're going to die. But I will tell you, and you can listen to many podcasts and many conversations about people or read books, people that have had that. They all say the same thing. The biggest regret that they have is not telling someone how much they love them, not telling someone how much you mean to them, not telling, someone that, hi, how's your day? How are you doing? Not getting to hug someone or kiss someone, hold their hand. It's all that. And, we come into this holiday season and everybody's, talking about stuff. Everybody's talking about stuff. I hear about, I want this for Christmas. I'm like, people ask me what I want for Christmas. And I said, I just want to spend some time with you.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And, I guess maybe as you get older, you just don't really want a lot of stuff. But relationships are so important. And I think that people would get along, how can I put this? I think people would experience life much differently if they would open their hearts and let people in and then share their gifts with other people.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, honestly, if the pandemic didn't teach that, I'm not sure what will.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's funny. They talk about that at I had another podcast and we were talking about that, the pandemic, and for people that were just regular monogamous relationships and they went through their daily task and the husband went and golfed on the weekend and the wife was out during the weeknights with her girlfriends and, he had a full-time job. She may have had a full-time job or be there. They maybe saw each other, passing in the hallway, slept together. And then all of a sudden, this person that they don't really know is now with them 24 hours a day.
Absolutely.
I was blessed. I was with my wife 24 hours a day for a couple of years. And I'm like, this is the greatest thing in the world.
Yeah.
We've had so much fun. And then other people, they're like, oh my God, I got to get out of it. I got to,
Well, think about that. Like, this is just what we talked about, like peeling away those layers. There wasn't that surface distraction. There wasn't, that texture that you added from the external world. Yeah. I looked at my husband a handful of times during that time and I was like, I am so glad that I'm in love with you, but better yet, I'm really glad that I like you.
Yes. Love is great, but you have to like the person.
Absolutely.
And I think back and I'm like, my first marriage was not a good marriage. She didn't like me. And she made it very clear. It was not a very fun place to be. And I'm like, yeah, I would have gone and lived in a car. There's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way. And I think that was really a common denominator for a lot of people. They got the reality of like, whoa, I don't like my partner.
Yeah. And they probably got a little bit more reality about themselves too, because we didn't have all those distractions. We didn't have all that external input. I will tell you, there's going to be a glimmer of that, in that summertime, or excuse me, whichever hemisphere you're on, in that July, August timeframe. Venus takes away all that external, distraction. And she's like, so we're gonna visit that. We do it every 18 months, guys. I don't want to scare anybody, but it's summer, so at least in the northern hemisphere. So it feels like, oh, I want to be out. I want to be in the flow. I want to be doing things. She's in Leo, right? And she's like, nope, whoosh. Who are you? How do you be wildly honest with yourself? What's really important to you, to your heart? Because Leo's all about the heart. Yeah, perfect conversation for this coming up.
I love it. So how do the stars look? Is 2023 going to be, you said power, but is it going to slowly reveal itself? Or is January 1st, 2023 going to be, away we're off. We're off to the races.
Yeah,
Here
we're
goes.
off to the races. Yeah, it's interesting. So what ends up happening, at least recently, is that the planets look like, a lot of the outer planets look like they're moving backward, and that's called the retrograde. People normally will understand a Mercury retrograde. People kind of in the mainstream talk about that, but all the outer planets.
Yeah, when all your stuff breaks.
Yeah, he's right. 100%. Right. So that's coming up. It starts on the 29th of December, goes to January 18th. He does it 3 times a year, sometimes 4. But the other planets bring all the energy back, and the planets have been doing it lately, like towards the end of the summer and like all through the fall. So the planets then just start moving direct. And so that's what ends up happening is things move forward. We are going to be like on a luge from about the 3rd week of January until the 3rd week of April. And for people that want to get a lot of things done and have that propulsion and that fuel and that moving forward, they're going to feel great. The people who are like, I don't really have that pace, I don't really like that pace, they're going to want to find respite in ways that they can to just kind of like step out and give themselves, just kind of timeouts, if you will. I will tell you though, March in the middle of that is going to be complicated. March is going to be really complicated.
Well, how do we get through March? What's going on? Tell us. I'm writing it down. I got my pen. Where's my pen?
Yeah. So here's the thing. So we have 2 outer.
You're like, get ready. March is coming. I can't tell you what it is, but.
I can tell you what it is. So,
all right, tell us.
So here's the thing. What if we deal with things instead of kicking them down the road, the stars always give us glimmers of timing. And so they tell us what's coming up. And so when last September, gave us a little bit of indication what's going to happen in March. So there are other things around wellness. If we had dealt with the pandemic pursuing wellness versus trying to avoid sickness, we'd be in a better position going forward. So the energies, the earth is going to give us more opportunity to do that. And so what is that going to look like? Well, it depends on how well we are, right? And it depends on what our fortitude is to pursue wealth. So, health. So that's going to be in the March timeframe. That starts at the very beginning of March, on March 7th. We'll see glimmers of it before that. At the end of March 23rd, that's when Pluto moves into Aquarius. That's when he's like, hey guys, it's been since 2008 that I've been looking at the way money works. I've been looking at the way the government works. I've been looking at the way power works. I've been looking at fraud and greed. And I've been telling you all the things. Like I've been opening up all these energies. You know so much about it. What are you doing with it? Are you ready to step into your future? Are you ready to be more humanitarian? Are you ready to have more union versus diversity? Are you ready to have inclusivity versus, exclusivity?
Right.
That's the energy until like through 40 something. Like I think it's 2043 or 4. So we are moving in the right direction. It's just, are we going to go kicking and screaming, or are we going to go gracefully? So March is the first opening of that.
So how does someone prepare for 2023 and what the stars have laid out for us?
Stay in your lane. Here's the thing.
I love that. Say that 3 more times. Stay in your lane. And then I want to hear that. That's so perfect. Love it.
Stay in your lane. Okay. I have so many people that come to me, not one-on-one clients, but in our world that will be, oh, henny penny, the sky's falling in because blah, 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 blah. Say, for example, the stock market is just doing its wavering, which is going to continue doing.
Right.
Well, do you have any money invested in the stock market?
Exactly.
Right. If you don't, can we not be swept up in that, please? Or if it's, I don't know, something where, there's a lot of judgment, or there's a lot of, there's just a lot of bad actors. Right. And so, but are you actually directly affected? Is that your lane? Don't hop on to something that just because it's dramatic and it's pulling you. Stay in your lane. And so from the flip side of that, there are a lot of people there's the charlatans are us last year and this year, 2022, 23, 24, and it's going to extend it to 2025. People are like, it's so simple. 1, 2, 3, I've got the answer for everything. You can make $1 gajillion. Just do this one thing.
Right.
No. I'm just going to say no. Life is nuanced. Life doesn't have to be complicated and difficult, but it's certainly layered and complex. So appreciate the nuance, appreciate that it might take you, you might want to build a ladder for yourself. And so if you have that already created, stay in your lane and just keep eyes forward. If you don't have it created, you want to use January and February and part of May, like the latter part of May and June to create it, and then stay in your lane.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. My mantra is not my circus, not my monkeys.
Absolutely.
It is not my circus, not my monkeys. And everybody wants to get involved in other people's drama and upset. And I'm just about flow. I want flow and no friction. I'm like, yeah, not my circus, not my monkeys.
Absolutely. So Rob, here I am. I'm MBA, I'm an armchair economist, and I'm an astrologer. So I do want to know what's happening in the world, what's going on in the economy, what's going on in the Middle East and how that's driving XYZ, what's going on in Russia and what's going on in XYZ. But I'm doing it from that point of equanimity. I'm doing it looking at it through a lens of like, okay, where are we going? What lessons do we want to learn? How can we possibly avoid this in the future? How could we leverage, whatever we want to leverage? That's a whole different thing than reading the news and freaking out.
And I think that there are some people that just really want to freak out. They go down these rabbit holes and it's more and more negative, and they want to freak out.
Yeah.
And my heart goes out to them and I bless them with love and light. But there's a lot of people that are committed to gossip. There's a lot of people in the world that are committed to drama. And my mantra and those of my tribe are not my circus, not my monkeys.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you, since I've been doing that, and I've been doing it for the last a little over a year, it's made life a whole lot easier.
A whole lot easier. I will even press a little bit further and say it's easier to be swept up and be on that edge and to be fueled by whatever rabbit hole, because imagine coming out of that. It's just like we talked about with the pandemic, you have to look and you have to see and you have to say, oh, this is me.
Yeah.
Right. And there's like, God, there's part of myself that I'm like, oh God, like, that's not my most awesome self, okay, here we go. Let's try to do, let's try to open that and heal that and do whatever releasing we can do with whatever piece is getting triggered by whatever just has come up. So we're in a constant, opening and improvement, personal development, just what you talked about, a handful of minutes ago. Personal development, it's a thing.
Well, it's interesting. A lot of people, myself included, that at the end of the year, they go, 2020 is going to be a great year. Mm-hmm. And it's interesting because they're coming from a place of like, I sure hope 2020 is a better year than last year. I hope 2021. And I really feel in my heart and my soul and my core and my being that 2023 is going to be a really good year. It feels like, I don't hope it. I'm not wishing it. I really feel that 2023 is going to be a really incredible year for a lot of people.
I do too. There is a star wrangle that we were dealing with since January of 2021, and we dealt with it through October of this year, where it was basically like, what's your future? What's your future? Oh, no, you can't have it. We're going to limit all the things. That's released. So it is just going to feel better because of that one thing alone.
Yeah. Well, Kim, I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your incredibly busy day to hang out with me and share all about the stars. You're just this beautiful soul. I was all excited to see that you're my guest today. I was like, oh, that's so great. I love it. And if you want to reach Kim, easy to do, kimwoods.com. And she'd love to hear from you. Let her know that you heard about her on Life Transformation Radio. And Kim, I just wish you the happiest of holidays. Merry Christmas. May your 2023 just be absolutely incredible, except for March and July. And
it's okay. It's all right.
May you survive. May you survive those months.
It's all going to be good.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for your support and taking the time out of your busy and precious day to listen to Life Transformation Radio. I so appreciate it. Thank you for allowing me, along with my very special guest, Kim Woods, to touch your heart, move your soul, and inspire you to live a life of transformation. I'm Rob Actis. Until next time.
This is Life Transformation Radio. Download complete.